Hello and welcome to Math Matters with Miss Jen. I'm Miss Jen and I love math. Today I want to talk about how math is about thinking with our brains, growing our brains, and really understanding the numbers, making sense of it, and also about visualizing what's going on. It's not so much about memorization in my mind. It is eventually, because making it automatic is something that will save us a lot of time in the future, but it will come eventually. At the beginning, you really want to understand not just what the answer is, but why it's the answer and how it works. And that will form the important foundation you need to advance to more and more difficult concepts. My friends who know I love math will often send me little tricks about how to, for example, multiply by 11. You can take one digit and move it to the left and the other digit and move it to the right, and then add the two digits and put that in the center. And that's a neat trick, but it actually works for a reason. And whenever I learn a new trick, I like to understand, why does that work? How does that work? Because if you just think it's a magical trick, then you're not getting to the richness, and it's a lot easier to forget it because you don't have that deeper understanding. Another thing I really like to do in math is think about how I'm thinking. So oftentimes I'll think out loud and ask students to do that as well. The fancy word for this is metacognition. So cognition, thinking, and above. So thinking about how we're thinking and being aware of our thought process. And that will be key as we go along. Today, our main topic is strategies. Now, a strategy is a tool. So I actually use pictures of tools. Or you can also think of it as a skill or of a way of approaching a problem, or a careful plan, or a method. It's a specific way to think that you can use to solve problems in life and also math problems as well. So what I like to do in terms of strategies is make them really explicit. I have big posters that teachers can post on a bulletin board, strategies for addition and also one for subtraction. And I'm going to keep track as we learn new strategies and add them to our arsenal on these posters as well. These are my miniature bulletin boards of different strategies we have for addition and also for subtraction and eventually for other operations and things as well. What's important to learn when we learn new strategies is that there are so many different ways to solve a math problem. And what I love about math is that no matter which way you use, you'll get to the same solution pretty much. And I think that that's beautiful, that we can all know that 16 plus 5 is 21, even though we might all be thinking about that in totally different ways. And no matter which way you think of it, no matter which way works best for your brain, you will still get to the same answer. So I want to challenge you. If you already know how to do 16 plus 5, and you may not want to think about different ways to solve it. I already know the answer, you might say. Why do I have to learn a different way? I really challenge you to learn all the strategies. And then after you've learned them, you can decide which are your favorite. So anytime a new strategy is being taught, don't close your mind off to it, but think, this might be my new favorite strategy. And lastly, the beauty of strategies is that you'll probably use many different ones for different types of problems. So one of the keys we'll talk about is when to use which strategy. Some are really best for certain problems. Like, for example, counting on can be great if you're adding 17 plus 2. But if you're adding 17 plus 22, counting on is not a strategy that's going to be the most efficient, the quickest, or easiest to use. So for that, you'd want to use a different strategy. Lastly, I want to say that back to metacognition, it's important to think about how we think. So it's really not so much what the answer is, but much more about how you got the answer and why it works and understanding it. So strategies will give us a name to how we're thinking. we'll be able to name and be able to more specifically articulate what our thought process is. And that's really going to help us. Thanks for listening. More next time.